Chapter 17-15 Escalation. Master, the Nameless have found something. A large ambush. Hundreds of delvers have gathered and laid traps for you. Would you like me to reach out and destroy the filth? No, that's quite alright. Just let me know where they are and I can take care of the rest. Opening square bracket ... Fine. I suppose I could let Chrysalis loose, but that would involve unleashing horrors beyond imagining upon my foes. I don't think there would ever be peace between the colony and its neighbors if that happened. There has to be a peaceful resolution. If we can't keep devoting our ant power into the fifth, then we will lose everything that we've managed to win down there. Once that war has been won, we won't have to sit on our hands and treat enemies like Green Mountain with such a soft touch. Until then, these matters need to be resolved peacefully. The worst possible result would be dragging the colony into another major conflict. We simply can't afford to divide our focus right now. Well, hundreds of delvers, wanting to meet little old me. I was wondering if more of them might start gathering together. Spread out over so many tunnels, it took a while for them to gather together properly. I'm sure a lot of them are starting to head back to Green Mountain, which makes it likely this ambush will be the last I have to deal with in the short term. Once I've finished taking care of this, it'll be time to start chasing down the stragglers and scooping up as many as we can get our mandibles on. Hey. Thanks to the Nameless and Chrysalis, I know exactly where this ambush is located, so I engage submarine mode and start zooming through the tunnels, floating through the air while being pulled forward by a gravity well. It took surprisingly little time for my vestigial legs to grow out to full size after I blew mine up using an empowered dash. I'll need further mutating to prevent every tendon in my legs from snapping simultaneously the next time I try that. Though it was useful to learn how the vestigial legs actually worked. The damaged legs were basically jettisoned, like a lizard detaching its tail, then the new ones started sprouting out immediately. It feels a little weird knowing that I have a full set of reserve legs growing inside me, but considering how fast they were able to grow out, I think the triad made a good choice. Unauthorized use of content. If you find this story on Amazon, report the violation. Once I mutate them, I'm sure the time it takes for them to grow to full size can be cut even further. Eventually I might be able to lose all of my legs and have a brand new set in under a minute. Wouldn't that be a thing? As I drift through the tunnels, heading towards the planned ambush, I consider what my best course of action is. So far I've been able to dominate all of my encounters against the delvers with relative ease. None of them have been able to stand up against the empowered gravity domain, nor have they been able to do any significant damage to me. Well, if I let them hit me for long enough, they'd crack through my carapace, but the regeneration network is proving to be a truly absurd organ. Although I haven't been testing the wellspring much, it's going to have to be pretty crazy for it to outshine this gift that Theorazin's mana has given me. However, with hundreds of delvers and prepared traps, that won't be so easy to handle. After all, the way to counter the gravity domain isn't to be so strong you can stand up in it, only monsters could possibly be that strong. Or monstrous humans. Morelia's dad could probably do it. That guy is scary. No, the way to counter it is by breaking up the mana using external mana manipulation. Against a magnificent specimen such as myself, a dozen mages are simply not enough to do the job. 100, though, maybe. If I can't just slam everyone into the ground, then ending the fight without too many casualties becomes that much harder. Of course, it's not like the colony can't justify some of these delvers never going home, especially considering why they're here, but keeping the damage to a minimum will be great for our image. I'm sure the Church of the Path is out there spreading all sorts of nonsense about us. We need to make sure they keep looking like whinging losers in the face of our benevolent mandibles of justice. Coming to a halt several kilometers away from the ambush site, I lower myself to the ground and land on my legs, still contemplating. Obviously, it's not much of a trap when I know it's there, but walking in still leaves me vulnerable to anything they might have prepared. Nasty spells, spikes, rock falls, goodness knows what else. If I can trigger the worst of it from a distance and then go in myself, that would make me a lot more comfortable. Alright, let's do it this way. I release my hold on the concealment methods I've been using, letting the power of my core radiate outwards like a blazing, miniature sun. There's no way they won't sense that. Hopefully they also sense what comes next, because they'll be in a heck of a lot of trouble if they don't. Planting my feet in the ground, I spin up my minds and take hold of the gravity mana inside me. Then I start pulling it out. A lot of it. I haven't cast a singularity since I woke up. I wonder if I can handle the spell a little better than before. Chapter 17-16 Beam of the Heavens. Singularity is a heck of a spell, if I do say so myself. Earned for reaching the next rank of gravity mana speciality, it's definitely one of my personal favorites and packs a heck of a punch. To offset that absurd damage potential is the mind-cracking difficulty in casting the lousy thing. Not only is the pattern more complex than a sculpture carved from jelly, it's just plain hard to hold the mana in place. To create the disaster beam of doom that comes out of the singularity, I basically have to hold 2 gravity bombs in place and let them bleed into each other. Handling that much mana is a massive pain in the thorax, handling it so delicately is twice as bad. Nevertheless, I make no move to hide what I'm doing as I draw out the mana and begin to weave it. Without any time pressure, I don't rush the process, letting the energy flow like a thundering river as I shape it and give it purpose. Before long, power is radiating out around me, a screaming warning and clanging alarm bell to anyone paying attention to the mana in the area. I can only hope the Delvers don't underestimate what's about to happen. If they're smart, they should be running for the hills right now. It's obvious they've been found out, why try and hold their ground still? Even worse, if they try and put up shields. I've never tested the singularity against defensive magic, but holy moly, it would have to be good to try and hold out against this. As I continue to cast the spell, it grows increasingly hard to keep the process slow and controlled. The more mana I weave, the harder it is to hold it in place. Like a boulder I'm trying to hold up on the side of a hill, which I keep making heavier with every passing second. Before long, I won't be able to hold it anymore, and it'll start rolling no matter what I wish. 2 dense balls of gravity mana form over my head, sucking in the light and surrounding me in purple-tinged darkness. Each sphere rotates slowly, inevitably, drawing closer and closer until they spark a furious reaction between them. Delvers, please, for your sake, don't be there anymore. When the beam is unleashed, it's as if it consumes all the light in the world. Beyond blinding, faster than light itself, it cuts through the air and creates a screaming void in its wake. Distant rumbling turns into a calamitous roar that shakes the ground even where I am, kilometers away, as my spell carves through the air, the ground, the heavens and the hells alike. When the light flickers and begins to fade, I am faced with nothing but a wall of debris and blooming clouds of dust and dirt. From this distance, it isn't easy for me to sense what's happening at the site of the ambush, but if any Delvers stayed in place, let's just say they aren't happy. Enjoying the story? Show your support by reading it on the official site. Satisfied that anything that was prepared to attack me is likely in ruins, I march forward with purpose, ready to confront my foes. Chrysalis, can you start attacking me? Lightly, no need to go crazy. I would rather not, Master, she replies. Nestled in my shadow, Chrysalis has been on her best behavior lately, only trying to sneak inside my carapace a few times an hour. After I went to sleep for so long, I think she went through withdrawals or something. She's even more clingy than usual. Which is saying something. It's just to get my healing network ticking over, alright. Nothing weird is going on. In fact, you'll be helping me. Well, alright. Some tentacles extend from my shadow and begin prodding at the underside of my carapace. Come on, Chrysalis. That doesn't register as an attack. Give it a little more oomph. Fine. Her lashings could still be considered gentle, little more than an aggressive tickle, but at least it's enough to finally get the healing network to start ticking over. Barely. Pushing through the dust, I keep my wits about me and my senses alert. There are still hundreds of Delvers out here. I have to be careful. Most of their preparations are likely destroyed by the singularity, but I can't go about underestimating my enemies. It's likely that this fight will be the most difficult I've faced since awakening from my evolution. Mind construct spinning, I pull out mana and prepare my spells. Sensing carefully, I sniff out the tiny gravitational fields that emanate from the Delvers. They're close, but concealed within the clouds of dust. Looks like they gathered together in the rubble to combine their strengths. A smart move. I'd better get rid of this dust to improve visibility. Tracking foes via their gravitational fields in the middle of a fight is doable, barely, but I'd much rather use my eyes. I just reset them, may as well get some use out of them. A powerful gust of wind blows through the tunnel, blasting the dust clouds away and revealing the absolute devastation that has been wrought here. It's not pretty. The singularity has carved a horrific gouge through the rock, annihilating everything in its path and tearing holes through the prepared traps of the Delvers. It looks like several things have blown up and 2 separate rockfall traps have been triggered. Scorch marks, rocks turned to slag, others frozen solid in place. Yikes. It looks like they really put together some nasty stuff over here. Now, what are they doing? I'd expected them to start attacking by now. The wind continues to blow, blasting away the thick clouds of dust and finally revealing the gathered delvers, who are all crowded together, on their knees. What? I reach out with a mind bridge to the closest delver. What the heck are you doing? Surrendering. Chapter 17:17 Word is out. Turns out that word has leaked from Green Mountain that we are taking delvers alive as much as we can. As a result, this lot we're happy to throw in the fight after witnessing the power of the singularity up close and personal. With the majority of their preparations destroyed and their ambush obviously discovered, they had no confidence going ahead with the attack, leading to the rather pathetic scene I witnessed afterwards. Well, it's fine I suppose. It wasn't like I was all excited and hyped up for a dramatic fight or anything. Sheesh, I'm a bit more irritated because, with so many of these lousy delvers here, I have to wait quite a while for all of them to get scooped up and taken back to the colony. Which is the only reason I use the gravity domain on them. I'm absolutely sure of that. There was no deep chuckling from the Dark One as I watched these eager surrenderers wiggle in the dirt where they belonged. Once all of them were finally out of my sight and transported away, it was time to get moving again. Luckily, the Nameless were able to get into the tunnels ahead of me and start hunting down the rest of the delvers while I was forced to sit on my carapace and play babysitter. Part of me would like to get back to the nest and check on how everything is going. It can't be easy for them having to house hundreds of highly trained, highly leveled delvers, especially since they're short on ant power. There's a reason I left Tiny and Nvidia behind. Hopefully that's enough muscle to keep them in check. Through the tunnels I go, no longer floating along and concealing my presence. There's no need anymore, since all of the remaining delvers are currently hightailing it back to the mountain. Since word has gotten out that I'm out here in the tunnels capturing people by the dozen, it seems as though the thought I might be vulnerable enough to be killed is fading. The rush of blood to the head at hearing about just how much I might be worth seems to have dissipated. I'd hoped more would stick around and come at me, and perhaps they will, after they get some time to regroup. For now, too many have gone missing, and I think the decision makers on Green Mountain are starting to get spooked. After all, more and more delvers have been vanishing and those prices just keep going up. I know Merchant has been putting the squeeze on the representatives of the mountain. I'm sure they're starting to get a little nervous. Bankruptcy is coming for them. Hey. The tail has been illicitly lifted. Should you spot it on Amazon, report the violation. Running through the tunnels, I pick up more and more speed, getting my big body moving as I try to gain ground on the fleeing delvers. I'm pushing towards the edge of the territory claimed by the colony now and closing in on Green Mountain lands. Does that mean I'm going to stop or slow down? Heck no, we go even faster. Something interesting I'm finding, as I run around at my size, is that it's often easier to go through an obstacle than to go around it. As I run, I smash through boulders, crash through stalagmites and stalactites, often shifting my legs out of the way so my body can plow through the obstacle rather than try to climb over it. Doesn't feel like a very ant-like way of getting around, but it's a heck of a lot easier than trying to change my direction all the time. I will no longer yield to the terrain. The terrain must yield to me. I mean, I must weigh hundreds of tons, if not more. I have to think of my poor joints. I keep running, pushing my muscles and joints to find out just how much speed I can squeeze out of this frame. Quite a bit, as it turns out. Eating up the kilometers, I start to sense some disturbances up ahead. If I can sense them, they can sense me too. Picking up speed, they start to dash repeatedly, desperate to stay ahead. Oh ho, I can't see them yet, but I'm still tempted to try and execute another empowered dash. However, this far from the colony, I don't want to keep blowing up my legs. Besides, I'm not sure the next set of vestigial legs have even grown yet. So I just keep running, pushing myself to pick up more and more speed, until my legs are screaming and my joints are aching. It's not enough to gain on them, considering they're using skills, but I'm staying in touch. All I have to do is wait for them to get tired, then they'll be mine. Or, I could speed myself up a little. Working quickly, I pull together a gravity well and cast it ahead of me before using all of its energy in one sudden burst. The ground falls away and I'm catapulted forwards and upwards with eye-watering momentum. Well, it would be eye-watering if my eyes hadn't been replaced with actual gemstones. Blasting through the air at my size is an extraordinary experience, I have to say. Not to mention, it's fast. I can sense I'm rapidly catching up to my targets, but I'm starting to think there's something I didn't think about. How in the name of heck am I going to land? As it turns out, heavily. Crash. Smashing into the ground heavily, I don't even bother trying to catch myself on my legs, as I know that would just smash them to bits. Instead, my carapace scrapes along the stone as I slide forwards, absorbing the tremendous force of the impact. Luckily, it's enough to get me within range of the Delver group trying desperately to escape my grasp. Gravity domain. A purple sphere of hyperdense energy expands outwards at a rapid pace, washing over the Delvers and slamming them into the ground. A successful capture.